Greetings, comic book fans. I'm Jason. It is the 2nd of October 2017 at time of recording, and you are watching Comic Book Overload. Every week, I go out and spend far too much money on comics. I read all those comics. I have an overload of opinions on my brain, and This is where I come to download the overload and share with you my opinions on some of the books that I've read in the last 7 days. So, getting straight down to business, and we're diving straight in with DC Comics. It is Dark Knight's Batman: The Red Death, issue number 1. This is part of DC's current big event, Metal, and in that story, basically, now it's a bit of a complex story because like Scott Snyder is really getting his Grant Morrison on, and so I don't think I understand all of it, because that's one of the things I've always had with Grant Morrison is while I've liked some of his writing, when I read his books, I always feel so stupid. Um, but like Snyder is really going for things in this book, and so basically, you've got the multiverse, all these different worlds where things have turned out differently, right? And there's I think there's 52 different worlds, which I don't really understand. How, surely for every decision you make, that creates another world in the multiverse, and the multiverse would be ever expanding. But like, I'm not a scientist, so hey. But anywho, so there's 52 worlds in the multiverse, and around the multiverse is this darkness, and nothing exists there basically. Except now we found out there's this dark universe or dark multiverse, if you will, with all these worlds that are created to be destroyed. So basically, maybe that's where the other choices all lead to these worlds that will be destroyed. I don't know. And this one character has kind of gone around to these worlds, so cherry picked like the best from these worlds, and kind of trying to take over our multiverse and coming into Earth, the main Earth Zero, if you will, and take it over. And they've opened it, and it's been this plot that's been running for like centuries to eventually come to this multiverse. So these characters at the end of issue 2 of Metal, they all came through the portal. So these one shots are going to introduce each of these characters, and basically it's a Batman. It's Batman from these different worlds that has merged with a Justice League member. So this first issue deals with the Red Death, and what the story is we get this whole backstory, and basically Bruce Wayne has lost the Robins. All the Robins have been killed, and this grief has driven him insane. And he feels the only way he can save not just Gotham but the world is with the Speed Force, and he needs the Speed Force because he can save everything. But then, but Barry Allen doesn't want to give up the Speed Force because he knows Bruce has just lost it. He's Gaga, and so they have this big titanic fight as Bruce is trying to get the Speed Force away from Barry. And it ends up obviously with the two being merged as this character, the Red Death. Um, I enjoyed this. This was a fun issue. It was like I always like alternate histories and alternate realities and stuff. So to see kind of like this play out, and I think one of the things that made it work for me was that the character of Batman was so consistent. We've seen him in the regular universe, the lengths he went to when Damian died, and the lengths he went to get Damian back. Um, so it feels consistent that if he lost all the Robins, that this is how it would drive him. That like that loss at such a young age of his parents has kind of he's never totally gotten over it and never learned how to cope with it. His way of coping with it is like putting on this suit and going out and fighting people and trying to save Gotham. He never actually really come to peace, it seems, with the death of his parents, and the death of anybody in his life is always liable to push him over. So I liked that felt very consistent, and that Barry didn't want to do that. The art here, the artist, I'm gonna real struggle with. The art is by Carmine Di Giandomenico. I don't know if I pronounced that right. He's done the art on the Flash, and before that, I think he was did X Factor, the last short run of X Factor that they did. His art really works well for this book and for the Flash because there's this kind of chaotic, energetic kind of quality to the art. I think you can see it best when you get a close up of the characters and how he draws Barry with the Speed Force kind of around him. I really love that. So the art really works well for the story, and I loved that. And the story, like I say, was a lot of fun. It really, pretty much, the whole issue is like an origin story until we come to. Um, I'm trying to find the page. Sorry. Um, we get to the end bit where he has got the Speed Force, and it's too late. His world's been destroyed, and this character shows up and says that there's these worlds that are destined to live. His master Barbatos has sent him, and then we kind of jump to our regular Earth, and we saw the characters kind of arrive here. So this shows the Red Death arriving in Central City. Um, so it, I it it ties in with the common event at the end, but it just felt very, the end bit felt very tacked on. I would have much rather that we left it on this page where he takes this guy's offer to go with him and do Babatos's bidding. I would have much rather we ended on there. I felt that would have been a better ending because the rest of then the Central City stuff is really rushed and just feels really tacked on. And I thought brought the issue as a whole down slightly. Um, However, this was a lot of fun. If you've been reading Metal, I would definitely recommend picking this up. But if you've not been reading Metal or you've not enjoyed Metal, I'd say skip it. This book was, yeah, I'm just checking. This was $3.99. So shiny cover, not too bad price wise, I suppose, but still, with so many books out right now, if you're not reading Metal, I don't think you're going to be as invested in this or enjoy this as much. So, but anywho, I enjoyed this. Wasn't blown away with it, but it was a lot of fun, and I would give this 8 out of 10. So next up, we've got the next one in these books. We have Dark Knight, Batman: The Murder Machine, issue number 1. And this is like similar to the other one. We introduced to another one of these Batmen that Barbatos has brought through to take over the regular multiverse. And this character, his loss was Alfred. Alfred gets brutally murdered by a group of villains. You know, you have like Killer Croc, Two-Face, Harley Quinn, Bane are all in there, and they brutally beat up and murder Alfred. And Bruce can't come to terms with this. Alfred was his father figure, you know, and without Alfred, he can't cope. But he had this computer program he was working on of transferring Alfred's consciousness into a computer program so that Alfred, when he passed away, which Bruce was anticipating would be many, many years' time, but when he eventually did die, that he would always be there, an essence of him would always be there. So he gets Cyborg to help him bring this online, but as soon as it comes online, it starts cloning itself. And its key thing is to protect Bruce Wayne, is to protect Batman. So this program goes and kills all the inmates of Arkham Asylum. It kills Bane at the airport as he's trying to get out of Gotham. And like Cyborg's like, this computer system is dangerous. We need to shut it down so we can repair and kind of start again. And Bruce is like, no, I can save this. I can fix this. I'm not losing Alfred again. But he waits too late until the Alfred program has kind of merged with Bruce Wayne, creating the murder machine and this warped vision of what needs to be done. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot more than Red Death. And I think partly it was how they kind of merge current events with with the backstory. So we start off in the first world of the multiverse, which is our regular Earth, and we start off with Cyborg and talking to his father in Detroit, trying to get his father to leave Detroit because so far Gotham and Central City have been taken down, and he's worried that all those cities of the Justice League members have been taken, so he wants his father to safety. And then, you know, Murder Machine turns up. But like we kind of jump between that, and then we have the flashbacks here to the origin story of Murder Machine. And I liked that. I found that was a lot better the way they managed that. How they split it between the two, I thought worked a lot better than having the current story at the end and the history before it. So I thought that worked a lot better. The art in this is really good. Totally different to how the art was in Red Death, but it seems really appropriate for this book and works really well for this story. So I like that. I also really like the father-son connection in here. How you've got Cyborg and could like, and you've got the father-son connection there with his dad, and you've got the father-son kind of thing deal going on with Batman and Alfred from this Dark universe. So I like that theme that was that because I thought it was just going to be the technology that was going to connect these two characters, which in a way does. But there's also something else quite personal that connects these two characters and gives these characters kind of opposite sides of the mirror, if you will. Yeah, all in all, this book was really good. Once again, I'd say if you're reading the book, if you're reading Metal, I would definitely recommend this. If you're not reading Metal, I would kind of say skip it. There's so many books out at the moment. It is really good, but I don't think you're going to get as much from it if you're not going to be following the event. So I would give Batman the Murder Machine #1 9 out of 10. So next up we have Marvel Legacy issue #1, and this issue, this kicks off. I don't know if it's going to be an event, but it certainly kicks off a new story and a new direction for the books. I was excited for this. I loved a Rebirth last year. I felt that Rebirth comic, the actual comic, was for me the best single issue of the year. I thoroughly enjoyed that issue, and so when I heard that like this was coming out and that this was going to be similar to that, I was really excited because I've only been a DC fan as I've grown older. Marvel, I've been since a kid. They were the first books I read. Characters like Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk and the Avengers and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. These were characters that I spent a lot of my childhood with and a lot of my teenage years with. And so, like, there's so many things in my life that have happened, good or bad. And the one constant, or the one thing that's always been there for me, well, two things really: pro wrestling and comics. And Marvel were the comics that I mainly read, and I've got such a long history with comics, with Marvel comics, that I was super excited to see this coming out. Now, I don't know if it's because that excitement level was so high, where when I went to the DC one, I was a bit skeptical, and I wasn't a bit unsure, and it really exceeded my expectations, and I really loved it from that point of view. With this, I was coming in with totally different expectations, much higher. And so I felt maybe unfair. It's maybe a bit unfair in that regard, because I was expecting so much. And really, I enjoyed it. It was a very good book, but it was not what I was hoping for. The main story that runs through this, written by Jason Aaron with art by Isaac Ribic, is we start off in prehistoric times, which actually is the coolest bit of the book. And we have kind of like these prehistoric Avengers. We've got Odin, we've got the Phoenix Force, we've got a version of Ghost Rider who rides a mammoth, we've got Starbrand, we've got what's his name? Agamotto, Sorcerer Supreme. And they're like basically this. The Iron Fist is there as well, and they're basically this like prehistoric Avengers, and they're trying to save the Earth because they've brought down this Celestial, and they're gonna battle this Celestial and try and save the Earth. And basically the gist of the story is this Celestial has been awoken in millions of years later in common day, and now that it's going to finish what it started all those millions of years ago. And you're figuring at some point maybe the legacy of these characters, the legacy that have been carried on, maybe their modern day counterparts are going to be a major part of the story. But that's your main story arc. Along the way, we have character returns, which I liked. I fortunately stayed spoiler free, so I didn't know none of the characters coming back in this, so that was a real good surprise. So that was brilliant. But also we get these pages which really annoyed me. So like we've got the main story going on, and then throughout the issue, I'm trying to find some of the pages to kind of illustrate it. We have multiple artists on the book, so kind of an example. So we're part of the story here where Loki is trying to get something, and he's tricked the Frost Giants to go and get it for him. But they've come up against Thor, Goddess of Thunder, Captain America, Sam Wilson, and Ironheart, and they're battling the Frost Giants to protect this thing. And then we slip to where is Steve Rogers? So we have a page by Samney, which is always welcome. And then we kind of jump to Thor, up to something, and then we have a scene from Iron Man. So you kind of jump between all these scenes in the middle of the story, and it kind of breaks up the story. And they felt it didn't help the natural flow of the book. So I personally, I did not like that. Uh, I liked much more the way DC managed it, where you had this sole story going on, and then they had the rebirth issues of each comic that kind of set up each comic and each story. I like that way of managing things better, and I think probably would have been a much better way for Marvel to do it than to try and accomplish it all in this one book. Because those scenes just feel very much like adverts rather than part of the story, which is what they should have felt like. Um, Love Rubik's art, the bits we get of Rubik's art. He makes a story just feel so epic. And those scenes with the prehistoric Avengers were brilliant. And I certainly would love a book to see how that team came together, because I would love to know more about that team. Uh, but overall, I enjoyed this. The central story about this Celestial is easy to follow, and all these different elements that you're kind of seeing join up. I kind of feel that it's a book I may read again, because to totally get it, because I think a lot of these single pages distracted from the main story. So I think I might go back and reread this to kind of make sure I've got the central story right. But with the characters that have come back, I found it very satisfying. Just not the blow away I was hoping for. So I'd give Marvel Legacy #1 8 out of 5. So next up we have Nightwing: The New Order, issue #1. This is a 6-part miniseries, and it's what DC call an Elseworld story. Now, DC do this, and I love this. It's stories that are set out of continuity, so it has nothing to do with the regular books in the regular DC universe. This is just kind of like Marvel used to do with the What If stories. It's kind of like a What If story. This story kicks off. It's in the future. I'm trying to get the right. We start off 12 years ago from the future. And we have like this scene, and it looks like there's been a battle. Superman's in the worst way, and we have this person walking through, and it turns out to be Nightwing, and he's took down all the superheroes. That he detonated something in Metropolis that took out 90% of the world's metahumans. He has a reason for doing it, which we don't learn yet what that reason was, but it was a good reason, and we learn that Batman was killed before this, so this battle of Metropolis. He was killed before then, so it's kind of like, did that trigger something? I don't know. But so it's very, very, it sets you up curious from the start to what happened. We then jump in the story to modern day, which I'm trying to get the date. I bet I can't find the date now, can I? It's always the way. I should have made a note of it. So, so that bit was 2028. So when we jump forward, it's 2040. Yeah, 2040. Gotham City, 2040. I don't know how well you can see that. Um, so we jump to the future where Dick Grayson is now regarded as this great hero for what he did to the superheroes, and it's illegal to have superpowers now, and you have to go on these drugs. And the story kicks off with them chasing Dr. Light, who doesn't want to be on the drugs no more, doesn't like how they make him feel. So Dick Grayson and the Crusaders, this group that he's leading, that track down rogue superheroes, rogue people who are breaking the law concerning superpowers, they track them down and they capture them. And the whole story kind of is setting up the last page, kind of setting up how he turned his back on the heroes, how he had his reasons, and he still feels he was right, even though he regrets his betrayal. He believes that what he did was right, and him and Alfred disagree on that. And Dick, now as a son, we don't know who the son's mother is yet, but she's kind of gone. So Dick has brought the kid up by himself, but he's revered on this planet, and life seems pretty good for Dick Grayson. And kind of everything that's happening and all the story that we're getting builds to the final page and the reveal, and that kind of throws everything in Nightwing's world upside down. I really enjoyed this. I felt a really good a really good journey. I like really nice Elseworld story. Like I've said, I love alternate reality stories. This was brilliant. Um, I like the balance that they get. They give you enough information for you to follow the story, but they hold enough back to leave a bit of mystery and keep you intrigued. So I liked how they pulled off that balance. Really enjoyed the art. Trevor McCarthy is the artist on the book, and I remember he had a run on Batwoman, and I don't remember his art being this good. He really improved, or maybe my memory is just faulty, but I really enjoyed his art here. Um, so yeah, I really love this. It builds lovely to the last page. We definitely recommend checking it out if you want something out of continuity. And I'd give Nightwing the new order issue number 1, 8 out of 10. So our penultimate book today, it is the Mighty Thor issue number 23. And this issue we have the War of the Thors, as the War Thor battles our goddess of thunder, and they battle it out because the War Thor has been kind of blinded by grief and by anger and by wrongs, and he just wants to lash out and wants to step. His intentions are good, but what he's doing is just creating what he wants to stop. But no words can get through to him, so they have this titanic fight, which is brilliant, until the end, when eventually our goddess of thunder gets through to him in the only way she could. Odinson couldn't have done what she did to get through to him, so I like that wrinkle in the story at the end, in that like it was her way that sort of settled this. There's a brilliant scene in this issue between Odinson and Russ Solomon, where she talks about, like, you went away, you disappeared, I was worried about you, I looked for you, I thought we could have been something special, but the moment's gone. Which was really a really nice moment, and it was that kind of thing and I applaud Jason Aaron's attention to detail there, because it's something you kind of been wondering, a bit strange that they never had this conversation. So I liked that we got that in the end. So that was really cool, and that was a really good back and forth conversation as well. We're continuing the War of Realms that's brewing, and we can see a few more things where this was going to go next. I'm not overly keen of romance, but that shows you what a good book this is. That it's a storyline I'm not overly keen on, but I'm still really enjoying it. And this has been definitely Marvel's most consistent book, as every issue is just delivers. And I love this, and I would give the Mighty Thor issue number 23 8 out of 10. So finally today we have Saga issue number 47, and we're introduced to this new character. Now, apologies, I think I may get the pronunciation of this name wrong. So it's Ian and she's this character who we see the return of the Will as well, which is brilliant. It's really cool seeing the Will back, even though things don't look like they're going well for the Will, as he's tied up. And this character, Ianda, is going through his mind, making him relive all the different traumatic experiences from his life, trying to find people that he cares about that she can kill. Because of that, when the Will rescued that child from that sex planet that was being used as a sex slave, one of the henchmen he killed was her love of her life, and so now she's sworn revenge against him. So this whole issue is her and the Will, and you kind of would think that could get boring, but it's done in such a great way, and you've had these great flashbacks as she's reliving his. Really, really great stuff going on here, and a great like in exchange between the two characters as well. And during the issue, like, a big piece of information has dropped that she's going to use, and is going to really impact our main characters' lives. I know in the past they've done issues like this where they've gone totally off the current story and just had this random issue. They did it with the reporters, which I didn't like that issue, because I wasn't really that keen on those characters, but I also didn't like their aspect of the story. And it's been one of the most pointless things that this book has done. But what I really liked, this felt like, one, you had a character in the world that I care about, so that kind of brought me in straight away. We're introduced to a very interesting new character who, even though you might not like her, you can empathize with what she's going through, even though you might not agree with the way she's acting. And, also then you've got that big bit of information that's dropped that she's going to use now. and he's going to really impact the main story. So I applaud this. This was brilliant. This is how you do a side story. It just, on all levels, it just worked. I could go on and on about the great writing, about the great Fiona Staples art, but it's all been said before. The book continues to be just fantastic. I'm enjoying this just as I have done. I go back and I say, yeah, I felt like the last arc I was getting a bit worried, but they brought it back around at the end of that arc, and this arc has just been all good stuff. Um, and like it's great to see the Will again. He's one of my favourite characters in the book, and I did kind of miss him, and I thought his story had been done and we'd moved on from him. But so it's great to see him back in the thick of things. So that's really cool. But yeah, this was again a lot of fun. Continues to be a good book, and I give this again 8 out of 10. So a lot of eights today. So that's me done for another episode. I will be back. Now, first, there's no Comic Con Weekly this Wednesday, but it will be back the following Wednesday, the 11th of October. The Comic Con Weekly will be back. And sometime in the next 2 weeks, I'll upload another one of these bad boys. Thank you very much for watching. Just leaves me to say that I've been Jason. You've been watching Comic Book Overload. Keep reading, and bye for now.